Hello, everyone. My name is Matt. I am the director at a digital advertising agency on the Sunshine Coast called Sunny Digital. And in this video, we're going to be looking at some key sale periods throughout the year. It's important to look at these because it's one thing to run a sale for the sake of running a sale, but then if you can also add some cultural, sporting, or even some specific times of year as some reasoning for your target audience as to why they might want to purchase your product or service, rather than just doing a percentage off at a random time of year, it can reap some pretty good results. So this particular calendar here looks more specifically at 2023. However, a lot of these events will roll on to different years on a recurring basis. Looking at January, New Year's Day is always a key potential sale message or marketing message. It doesn't have to be a sale. Don't think it has to be percentage off. It could just be to spark some content for your organic social media platforms. New Year's Day, Australia Day, they're highlighted in blue, as are a few other items throughout the calendar. This is because these are events that you might not want to actually run some messaging or some sales around and try to piggyback off of. Reason being is you could potentially do more harm than good. With Australia Day, for example, some controversial agendas on Australia Day, and you might not want to be seen as trying to benefit off of the back of it. But it is something to be aware of nonetheless. Chinese New Year. So if you know you have a particular Chinese audience, this is massive for the Chinese audience. Year of the Rabbit, 2023, might be something that you could potentially align your brand to. Chinese audience also believes the number 8 is quite a lucky number. So in previous marketing roles that I've been in, we've looked at certain things like 8% off and so on, which has worked quite well. Back to school speaks for itself. Australian Open in red. Everything in red is sporting events. Very easy to piggyback off of, very low controversy and risk on that side of things. And if you have a brand that aligns either with a tennis audience or patriotism on the Australian front, could be really good to align your brand messaging, sale, whatever it may be, to the sporting event at hand. Going into February and March, Cricket World Cup, off the back of the Australian Open. And then Valentine's Day, really, really key sale period, especially if your audience is in the gifting mindset and in a relationship as well, considering how you might target that through various advertising platforms. St. Patrick's Day, always a big day for target audiences, more so males, and looking at how you might like to leverage that, and International Women's Day as well. April, May, and June, so Q2, we head into Easter with another round of school holidays. April Fool's Day, potentially not a sale date for you, but potentially a good opportunity to get some content around that and some positive PR. Earth Day, and then Ramadan starts as well. Into May, Mother's Day, huge gifting period. So looking at how early you might start leading into that and talking to your audience about gifting for Mother's Day. Click Frenzy Mayhem as well is a paid sale event via the Click Frenzy platform. And then June, heading into end of financial year, typical key sale period for many brands. Another Click Frenzy event, and then we go into school holidays again. I wish I was back at school and had this amount of holidays. Looking at Q3, so July, we've got NIDOC week, again, just something to be aware of. The FIFA Women's World Cup, which is actually being hosted in Australia, is going to be quite large, so something to consider there for your audience potentially. August, Click Frenzy Travel, Afterpay Day, which is a Afterpay owned sale event. So if you haven't got an Afterpay on your e-commerce store, definitely worthwhile looking at and considering if the costs and everything like that adds up for you in your particular situation. And then the FIBA World Cup, so FIBA being basketball on the international stage, will kick off in August, or tip off, I should say. September, Father's Day, as I mentioned around Mother's Day, really, really key gifting period, more school holidays, and the footy finals will commence and then roll over into October as well with the NRL Grand Final. Halloween has become more and more adopted by Australians as not only a cultural, I guess, event, but also as an e-commerce sale period too. And then November and December really are the epitome of key sale and marketing dates in the year. So we go everything from Click Frenzy, the main event, to Singles Day, and we'll touch on this in the next couple of slides. Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Melbourne Cup, key to be aware of there of the public holiday in Victoria. Remembrance Day as well. Definitely don't recommend running a sale around Remembrance Day, but just something to be aware of, because if you are running sales, not necessarily tied to these events, but they do cross over some of these cultural or religious holidays, you'll find a lot of people won't be using their devices as much. So if you have a slow day of sales, just consider why that may be. And then December speaks for itself, everything from Christmas to Boxing Day to New Year's Eve and some more school holidays. Q4 of any year is absolutely critical for a lot of e-commerce brands. We recently ran an analysis at our agency where we found that some of our brands that we advertise for rely on Q4 to make up north of 50 to 55% of their total annual sales. And this can largely be driven by five key periods. So we've got Click Frenzy, Black Friday, Panic Saturday, which I'll touch on in a second, Cyber Monday, and Boxing Day. So, Click Frenzy is generally a 24 to 48 hour burst, and it is mainly through signing up to the Click Frenzy platform itself as an approved retailer and advertiser. So, this will be on November 8th this year, and next year to be confirmed, but it will likely be around the same date. Singles Day. So this is typically a Chinese e-commerce spectacular, and it is actually bigger than the Black Friday sale period globally. Although it is historically more of a Chinese sale date, more and more Western brands are adopting it as a reason to run a discount or a sale or put some ad spends behind some of their products. And then Black Friday, Cyber Monday, you would have heard about this holiday, and there's many reasons why it's called Black Friday. One of the more popular adoptions behind the reasoning is that many retailers actually get into the black for the first time in the year as opposed to the red. And another more anecdotal reasoning is because of how dark the day has been, with people actually getting injured and actually passing away in retail stores from how aggressive the public can get to get their hands on the latest discounted TV or whatever it may be. Again, typically an American sale date, but Australia's very much adopted this as a key part of the e-commerce calendar. The dates themselves will only go from the 25th to the 28th. That's Black Friday, the weekend, and then Cyber Monday inclusive. However, what you'll find is a lot of advertisers will launch much, much earlier. So there's a few key reasons for this, which I'll touch on in the next slide. And then we look at Christmas gifting. So coming out of Black Friday, which a lot of people will buy their Christmas presents for, but going into key Christmas gifting period of the first couple of weeks of December, this is where people are buying their last minute Christmas presents, which then leads into Panic Saturday. So you'll see a lot of e-commerce brands specifically change their messaging to order before date X to ensure your order arrives. So this messaging is putting some safety and reducing risk into the audience's mind to ensure that they can still shop with ease and at peace and ensure that the gifts that they're purchasing will arrive before Christmas. And then Boxing Day. Always a massive holiday in Australia for shopping. And we can expect this to continue to translate to online. And this sale will likely continue right up until the end of the year. So some considerations, especially around Q4, but you can apply these to any e-commerce sale in your specific marketing calendar. So get your house in order before driving paid traffic. If you've got a website and you know for a fact there are certain pages on that website that aren't structured well or aren't going to convert, or you've been waiting on new product imagery for the past few months, definitely prioritize this ahead of investing in paid traffic, because anyone can put some ad spends behind an ad and get more traffic to the website. But if the website isn't going to convert the traffic, it may potentially be a bit of a waste of money. So you want to ensure that every dollar you spend in ad spend is going to translate to someone going to your website and not having any issues in adding a product to their cart and then purchasing. So conversion rate of a website is fueled by many, many different variables. But if you can increase it by the tiniest percent before one of these key sale periods where you might be investing some advertising dollars, the return will come back to you tenfold. The other thing to consider with conversion rates, and we'll have another video on this, but is giving people as many options to pay you as possible. So if you use something like Shopify, you'll be able to add different buy now, pay later providers. So Afterpay, Apple Pay, so on. So Apple Pay isn't a BNPL, but it is a potential conversion rate booster and another mechanism for someone to check out of your store with. Going earlier on some of these sale dates can be really, really critical. So, and this translates into the next point of expectations, because what we find is during, say, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, for example, the 4 days over that key period, there are many, many more advertisers that come into market. However, the actual inventory on, say, for example, Facebook news feeds or Instagram news feeds, and when I say inventory, how many ad spots are actually there available for people consuming those apps each day, doesn't actually go that much higher. However, the demand from advertisers does. So in that sense, Facebook, Instagram, Meta, Google, it's basic supply and demand. They can charge more for the same amount of inventory because they know that there's more advertisers bidding on different audiences. So we found Q4 last year rose upwards of 60% in terms of CPMs and cost per clicks, the key efficiency metrics in these paid advertising platforms. And honestly, we think it might be on a similar trajectory this year. So if you can go earlier, then definitely do it. There's no reason to wait until the day of Black Friday to launch your sale, especially when we know that, again, particular to your specific brand, your audience will be purchasing much, much earlier than that. First party data capture is absolutely critical. We've been talking to our clients about this for years. And the more first party data you can capture from your audience, whether or not they've purchased from you or not, the better. So think first name, last name, email address, phone number at a bare minimum. And the reason this is very, very important is over the past few years, the digital advertising industry has gone through its biggest shakeup in the last decade, with things like third-party cookies being deprecated and a few other items from ITP, ETP, bunch of different acronyms. But the short story of it is that user privacy is centric now more than ever. And whilst digital advertising and targeting strategies are still very much possible, they've gone from being this very delicious choc chip filled cookie that advertisers have the ability to use to more of a sugar-free cookie. However, if you have first-party data overlaid with all of your advertising, everything from targeting those people to building lookalike audiences on to actually reporting through something like the Facebook or Meta Conversions API, the efficiency of your advertising and the accuracy of your reporting is going to be 10 times greater. So we can't recommend that nearly enough. Avoid chopping and changing strategy. So this one's really important as well, especially on social platforms of whether it's Meta or TikTok advertising, whatever it may be. The reason being is a lot of people tend to have a knee-jerk reaction if they launch a campaign and within 24 hours, if it hasn't achieved a sale, they might go in, change a bunch of things, and then hope the next day they'll come back and they'll have 10 sales. This can more often than not actually shoot your campaign in the foot, especially during these key sale periods, because there's so many advertisers, the same amount of inventory, and with a lot of these social platforms, they need a learning phase. So we can put in various targeting variables and everything like that, but they do need a bit of time to warm up with the platform to get them off the ground, to figure out who's buying from the algorithm, who's not, which creative placements are working, which ones aren't, and then go down that path. So I would suggest just having a little bit of patience if you can, but also I would suggest really accurately mapping out who you want to target before you actually launch. If you are associating a deal with your campaigns, so if it's a Black Friday campaign, for example, it can be a very quick race to the bottom by simply doing a percentage off deal. And if you crunch the numbers on your actual profitability, this can actually lead to an unprofitable campaign at the end of the day. If you end up selling $20,000 worth of stock, but then once you factor in your ad costs, staff cost, everything like that, and ultimately the discount cost, it could be a very quick way to lose money. So if you've crunched the numbers and figure out your margin isn't actually that thick to work with a big percentage off offer, consider some other deals such as gift with purchase, multi-item bundles, and so on. And then make your channels work together. So if you're going to be investing in putting some ad spend dollars behind these campaigns, if you've got email marketing, SMS marketing set up, that should be talking to your Facebook and Instagram advertising, for example. Any different channels you can have talk to each other, the more efficient they'll become and the better the end result will be, both on a revenue and return on investment standpoint.